Now that we've placed the majority of our components into our vacation home for our electrical plan, we need to add a breaker box and power to that breaker box so that we can get all of our stuff to actually function. What we're going to do is we're going to go into electrical equipment, and it's going to tell us that no families are loaded. We're going to go ahead and click yes. And at this point, we're going to go back up to MEP in electrical power, look at distribution, and scroll down to the single phase panel 120 volt recessed one. This means it won't stick out from the wall, it'll just be a panel on the wall. When I hit open, it'll allow me to place this somewhere. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually place mine behind my front door, because right there is a spot that if something wasn't working, I could get to it fairly easy to check the breakers. However, it's not something that would be too in the way. Based on the fact that our vacation homes are all different, you can find a different location for this, but I would suggest putting it into the house so it's easy to check if there was an electrical problem. Right now, this panel has no electrical service to it, so I can't even hook it up to any circuits, even if I wanted to. So the next thing I have to do, and make sure you follow this exactly. You may need to pause and play the video quite a bit during this phase so that you get all of the directions done. Go ahead and come over to Manage. Under Manage, you'll find MEP settings. When you drop down your MEP settings, you're going to find the electrical settings. We have to do two different things. Right now, we're going to go to voltage definitions. We're going to define two voltages. The first one we're going to call 120 with the capital V. That's 120 volts. The value is going to be 120 volts. The minimum value, and again, set these exactly as I do, otherwise some of your things might work. The minimum value is 110. The maximum value is 120. Depending on which grid systems you're on, it might run at 110 or 120. Most appliances don't care. So then we're going to click Add, and the voltage that we're going to add, we're going to call 240 volts, twice as much. The value is 240. The minimum is 220, and the maximum is 240. Pause for a minute so you can see all the settings that you need to do. Once those settings are made, go to the next one in the list, Distribution Systems. The name we're going to call this is 120/240. Now, right now it says phase single. And if we go over to where it says LG voltage, which is live to ground, we can drop this down, and because we've already defined 120 volt, we should be able to see that. It doesn't want to give us our line-to-line voltage. So to make it do that, we change phase from single to 3 and change this to 240. You'll notice this one went away. However, when I go back to single, now I can put this at 120. So we're just tricking the software to allow us to define both. 120 volts here, single phase. Remember, I had to switch it to 3-phase to put this one in, switch it back to single to put the last one in, and click OK. To make my panel live, I have to click the panel, and in the Properties menu, scroll down until I find the distribution system. When I drop this down, I've got 120/240 defined right there. When I hit apply, I now have power to my breaker box. The next thing I'm going to want to do is I'm going to want to start to connect all of my circuits together. So I want to connect lights to switches, and I want to collect all the different loads to a circuit in the breaker box. Right now, especially the outlets are very, very large and a little bit difficult to work with. You'll notice that I have mine at detail level medium. Please don't change this to fine. If you change this to fine, all that stuff gets itty bitty and it's hard to tell what's what. So I'm going to change that back to medium, but these are really, really large. Here's how we fix that. We actually go to our sheets, right-click, new sheet, pick the FRMS landscape, size A, hit OK. And you'll come back and fill the title block in later, but if I put floor plan electrical on here, all I really have to do is put it on there. Okay? And now, when I come back to floor plan electrical, excuse me, I do need to actually increase that scale. So I'm going to try bumping that up to 1/8. Which fits pretty well. I think 1/4 will knock it off, but as you'll notice, those have now come down in size. So I come back here and scroll in and out a little bit, you'll notice those are now much more manageable size-wise. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to connect the switches to the lights. The easiest way to do that is to come down, and I'm going to start out actually in the bedroom where I have a single switch that controls a single light. When I click on the light with my modify arrow, I've got an icon right here that says switch, and it asks me to select the switch. I'm going to click this switch right there, and it does what it needs to do. I'm now going to click off and go to a different light. Switch, pick it. Those are pretty easy. So again, one last time, I'm going to click the light, switch, and pick the switch. Now, once I click on the light again, it shows me I don't have the option to click switch, so I know that everything is set. Now, my living room, I've got 2 lights that I want controlled by 2 switches. So when I click the first light, I'm going to hold Control and click the second light. So now they're both highlighted. I'm going to click switch, and for those 2, I'm going to now pick the switch over here. The software does not let me connect the 3-way switch, the other 3-way switch in, which is fine. Okay, we're going to actually show those physically here in a moment. But that's the way I do this. So when I want this light connected to this switch, and then my kitchen lights, holding Control, selecting them all, because I would turn all of them on from either this switch or that switch. Again, you can pick which one you want to actually connect. Now all my lights are connected to switches. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start connecting things to different circuits. One of the things that's really helpful is if you go to View and go to User Interface and turn on the System Browser. This will show you various things. Right now you've got a bunch of unassigned components out there. That's fine. As we turn them into electrical circuits, they'll start coming down here into electrical. So the first thing I'm going to click on is actually going to be one of these outlets. So this one right here. The first thing I have to right here is power. So I'm going to click on that. The first thing that I have right here is panel, and right now none is selected. Go ahead and select the panel that we brought in before. So now it's connected to that panel. If I click Edit Circuit, it now allows me to add to circuit is automatically checked. Now, what you need to know is per circuit, you can only have 10 loads. A load is an outlet or a light. Switches don't count. So I've got the outlet, I've got this light, and this light. I'm up to 3. Here's 4, 5, and 6. I'm actually going to scroll down into bedroom 2 and get 7, 8, 9, and 10. Now, since that's not quite enough to add this, I will add the 11th thing, which it will let me do. However, I'm going to click Remove from Circuit and remove this outlet, which gives me 3 outlets, 2 lights in the living room, 4 outlets, 1 light in the bedroom. That's 10. I'm going to click Finish Adding Circuit. Right now you'll see that under Electrical, I now have one system, which under Power and the panel, I now have circuit number 1, which includes these things. If I click circuit number 1 and scroll down, it comes down to comment. This will help you out later. So this is the living room / bedroom 2. That is what that is. And we're going to click apply. Again, you're not going to see that anywhere right now, but that will help you out later. I will also, there's a few outlets that I have to make their own circuit. So I'm going to go ahead and click this 3-phase 240 volt, 220 volt one and click power. Pick the panel. It's not showing my panel right now. So I'm going to go back and fix that in a minute. But the refrigerator also gets its own circuit. So I'm going to pick power, pick that. And again, it's going to be its own circuit. The refrigerator gets its own circuit. Okay? So number 2, as I scroll down and under comments, this is our refrigerator. Which I didn't spell right, but you get the idea. And I'm going to continue to build circuits going through my entire house. Again, leaving the switches out because those don't provide a load. Those are what are called electrical controls. So they turn things on and off, but they don't actually use electricity to do anything. Okay? That is why they don't count and why we don't add them to the circuits. Okay? I am actually going to go back to my distribution system and make a quick change because it's not letting me hook my 220 volt one up. So I'm going to go ahead and change this to a 3-phase, and I believe that's what fixes this and allows me to then pick this outlet and go to here, circuit number unnamed. I'm looking for we're going to go ahead and remove that. Notice I didn't remove the symbol, I removed it from over here. So now I can connect it to power again. And it's still not letting me find my panel. So your teacher will show you later how to fix that. All right, last thing. I want to show which circuits, which lights control, or which switches control which lights. Here's what I'm going to do. As I go back to systems, I have the wire tool here. So the way this works is I want to go from a switch out to a point where when I complete it, it bends the wire. So then I'm going to go from this light out a little bit and there. Because that's what kind of draws your eye to this as being wires, is the fact that there's a bend. So again, out, out to the switch. So that's the way I show that 3-way switch. For the simple ones, I can just go here, 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 and be done. This one again, here, here, and there, here, here, there. My switch here, out, around, and then for the kitchen, here, out, and there, here, there, there, here, there, there, here, there, connected. And we want to connect them in a chain. You didn't get too much of if you didn't get enough of a bend, you can bend the wire a little bit more. All right, so this is an electrical plan that is ready to be printed out. And after you complete all of the circuiting requirements, go ahead and move on to the video that it shows you about the electrical schedule, because that you will put on its own sheet. If I show you the sheet here again, I'll be able to go in and set this up as my electrical plan, the way I've set up all the other drawings.